Ragnar here. What's going out there in Ragnar land? I got the band Corroded today out of Sweden, one of my favorite bands, and I got to give a shout out to Pete House. He introduced me to these guys. Sent me a YouTube video of you one day and said, "Hey, you got to check these guys out." And I brought it into work, and I was, my bosses they try to just tolerate me and my music. And I went and showed them. I think it was Fall of a Nation, and
Yeah.
uh,
That's a good one.
and it started out kind of mellow. And then when the vocals come in, and when you kind of give that growl, they're like, "All right, that's enough. Not need to hear no more."
Well,
So. So
I
hey,
mean,
why don't we start out? You guys just kind of introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into discussing some stuff.
yeah.
yeah,
You start?
you start, Per.
Okay, my name is Per, and I'm the drummer of Corroded.
Yeah, and my name is Jens. I do sort of some guitar work and lead vocals as well. So yeah,
Okay. All right. Um, so I just told everybody you guys are from Sweden.
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of good rock music coming out of Sweden these days. It seems like.
yeah. I mean,
Um, I-
it's been like that for a couple of years now. So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's a good environment to just thrive in, I guess.
yeah. How's the rock scene actually in country there compared to like trying to branch out in the U.S. and things like that?
I mean, it's hard to compare. I mean, you got places to play in the States. Here in Sweden, we still just do weekends mostly. So
Okay.
it's a bit different. It's not the same as in the rest of Europe as well. I mean,
Right,
it
right.
is what it is, and you just have to keep on, yeah, trying.
Have you guys toured anywhere in Europe?
Yeah. We have been through Europe 4 or 5 times, and down there in Germany, France, and Belgium, and those countries, you can play from Monday to Sunday, sort of. Maybe not
Right,
Mondays,
right.
it's sort of a day off, even down there. But Tuesday to Sunday, there are venues with gigs.
Yeah,
Yeah, what kind of venues are you guys playing out there?
I
Down
mean
in
in
Europe,
Europe,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's mostly like smaller venues, like 3 to 800 people,
Okay. What
mostly.
about
Yeah.
what about any of the festivals and things that they have out there?
I mean,
Have you?
we played some festivals in Europe as well, but not as many as we would have wished.
Right,
Uh,
right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
hard.
actually lived in Germany for 7 years, but it
Yeah.
Ah,
was it was broken up over two tours. I was in the Air Force, United States Air
yeah,
Force.
Yeah.
So I was at Spangdahlem, Germany, and then Ramstein. And I had my Harley over there, and we, toured everywhere on
Yeah.
the bikes, and we'd hit some of the festivals, and you catch some really good bands
yeah.
Yeah.
at some of them. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I wish.
Wacken is the biggest festival in Europe.
Right, right. Yeah, I'd love to go to that one
Yeah.
someday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we too.
Um, you want to play
And
it, or
we were
you want
supposed,
to? Yeah,
We want to
we were
play it.
supposed to play,
yeah.
yeah, we were supposed to play there. Uh, was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, first pandemic summer.
Yeah. So
We were
that
promised a spot at Wacken, but it's all whacked out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
was
Yeah, I
a
was.
bad thing.
Yeah, before we got started, just so everybody knows, we were comparing beards, and I lost the contest. So I'm trying to hang in there, but it's taking some time. So
It's
um,
looking good, man.
oh, thank you, thank you.
You're almost there.
Almost, almost.
Almost.
So kind
You
of,
sort of look. Yeah,
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
We sort of look like three Santa Claus.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so why don't you guys kind of get into the band? How long have you guys been together and kind of how you got started? And
Yeah, I mean the band Corroded, we started back in 2004. It's just me since most of the guys had left the band, and Per and Bjarne joined the band in 2008,
Eight.
9,
Yeah,
8.
8.
Yeah,
Autumn 8.
yeah, and that was pretty much, yeah. It all just took off in that
okay,
instant, kind of.
Yeah, we released the first album in May 2009.
Yeah,
Yeah. We've
right,
been pretty
right,
much out playing since then, so this pandemic came as a little time off for us.
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah, unfortunately.
like a short break for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's been weird.
so how did you guys know each other, or how did you kind of get together? Um,
Well, we didn't know each other at all, actually. Per, he was like, you knew the old guitarist.
Yeah.
You worked together at a
Yeah, we used to
school.
work together at the youth center.
Yeah,
okay.
and he just came to our rehearsal place and said, "Yeah, I found us a new drummer. He has a steady walk." So you base the choice of a drummer on the walk. Yeah, yeah, of course, and that was it.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was
He
right.
was
I'm
right.
still I'm still with
Yeah,
you guys.
he was right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Bjarne, the bass player, he sort of, yeah, joined the band at the same time, actually, and that was my
One
cousin. Yeah,
one rehearsal later.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He's one rehearsal
Important.
younger than you. Yeah, exactly.
And that was it, huh? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
back in 2004, you said, now
yeah.
was it other former members? I was looking a little bit at the Wikipedia stuff trying to make sense, but were there former members that started with you back in '04?
Yeah, it was me and the guitarist back. We were actually three guitarists back then, and he just came to me one day and said, "Yeah, we need to start a band." And I said, "Yeah, yeah, why not? I mean, why not start a band?" And that was, so we just got three other members to join us, and that was it.
Okay.
So it was just like and it sounded fucking horrible. Can I say that?
Sure, sure, sure,
It
Yeah,
sounded
it's okay to
bad.
curse.
sure,
Yeah,
sure. Why not?
it
Thanks.
sounded bad, man. It was horrible.
Yeah,
Actually, it was
yeah.
horrendous. And so I said after like three meetings, I said, "Yeah, I'm done, guys. No more. Thanks, but no thanks." And then we just started. I just came up with one riff, and it just took off. One riff that started it all.
With which song?
That was an old song that's called "Bring Me Down." We don't play that song anymore. It sort of got, we used parts of it for a song on the first album, but it doesn't sound anything like the original song at all.
Hmm,
It's super simple riff, and it just got took off, and we sort of found this riff. So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, whatever you guys did, you definitely found the trick because your sound's phenomenal, and I usually have your albums on repeat constantly with my headphones. So um,
that's cool.
yeah,
That's nice.
everyone I talk to, I always say, hey, you gotta check these guys out. So but I guess one of the questions out there folks probably have is, do you plan on touring the U.S. anytime soon?
Yeah, we really would like that, but it's yeah,
We
there's a
would
lot
love
of
to.
economy.
We would love
Yeah,
to.
there's a lot of economy stuff
Sure,
to
sure.
solve first. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
I
logistics
mean,
and stuff.
we've been looking into that for like 4 years or something. But I mean, the COVID stuff came, and that was it. And
Right.
so we need
We
to restart
yeah.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
actually
plan.
been to New York played once. We were playing the Webster Hall at Manhattan once. Was a showcase with another Swedish band. It was pretty sick that we had released our second album.
Yeah,
No, the third. It was one of the first times we played I'm the God. I
yeah.
remember that.
That was in Manhattan. Yeah,
And
Huh,
people were
okay.
actually singing with us in Age of Rage and songs like 6 Feet of Anger and Time and Again. That was
Sure.
pretty amazing.
that was awesome.
Going
Yeah,
flying over the pond and people knew our songs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that
Oh,
like I could probably sing all your songs. It wouldn't sound good, but I could probably sing them all. I
I
I,
mean,
I do imitate your growl a little bit on Fall of a Nation.
that's cool, man.
that's,
I
Uh
that's
mean,
great.
the hardest part for me is, I mean, you perhaps possibly know the lyrics to the songs. I don't.
oh,
I just write.
okay. Okay.
I keep on forgetting,
Yeah, well, I
but
mean,
it's
that's a good
so
question too. I mean, you guys, obviously English is your second language, so I mean, how does
yeah.
that go writing in English versus Swedish? And do you have any songs with
No,
Swedish?
It's almost impossible to write in Swedish,
Really?
at least for me. Yeah, it's super weird. I've been thinking about this for a lot of years, and it's kind of like it's a different value to all the words when I try to write in Swedish, and I think it's a difficult language to sort of make musical.
Hmm.
There's a lot of guys doing it and they're doing it well, but I'm not one of those.
One of those guys.
I mean, for me, we grew up with the American and English music and movies and what have you, and so I think it's. I mean, of course, it's a challenge to write in a second language,
Right, right.
but yeah,
Now, in
comes
your
more
go ahead.
comes more natural to write the lyrics in English, I guess.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it does.
And so I mean, when you're writing in English, how's your thought process? Are you thinking about things in your native language and then converting it over, or you basically totally
Almost
switch
nothing.
over to English?
Yeah, it starts with English,
Okay. Okay.
and the thought process is in English as well. So it's weird because I mean I'm not sure if the lyrics are good or what. I really don't care that much,
Right.
actually.
There,
I mean, I
yeah,
write about shit that I would like to write about,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. It's good.
And
I think your lyrics are really really good. There's a one song. It's one of your slow songs. I'm trying to not. Well, I mean slow. It's slower, but it's was it a note to self? Is that the name of it, or is it
no, to me, yeah,
note to me? Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about that song a little bit. What are you thinking, or what's your who you writing it to? You writing
Yeah,
it to yourself, or is it just
yeah. I wrote that song to myself, or actually, it was like a when you hang together a lot in a band, you see the different sides to everyone, and you sort of make a mishmash of that. And yeah, I mean, we were super hangover. We had been drinking hard in the studio. And that was like when you look at yourself the
The
day
day
after,
after.
ah
yeah,
okay, all right,
I'm not doing this anymore. I'm a fucking beast. I don't like me.
okay,
So that was like the and then you take a lot of other stuff as well, and you add that to the mix, and Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that I write that sounds like, if it's about me, then it would be kind of serious, actually. But I mean, you take stuff that you see in the news, you take stuff that you hear about from other friends, and you add it together, and that's the thought process most of the time when I write the songs. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. I mean, in over everywhere
Mhm.
in the world, you can see there's a lot of shit going on, and you got social media fueling on, and it's you can just, I mean, open Facebook or something, you can see stuff for lyrics for days.
Right. Yeah.
It's
Right.
weird
Right.
shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now speaking of studios, where do you guys record out of?
Yeah, right now we're like recording in our own rehearsal space. The latest album is I recorded everything there,
Okay. All right.
so that was
So you
yeah,
guys are doing your own processing, own recording.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
everything.
Wow.
So
with this album we did. It
Okay.
was an
yeah,
amazing time recording the drums in our own rehearsal studio, where there's no time limits, no taxes
Right.
ticking
Right.
over your head and stuff. It was very
Right. Right. Right.
relaxed.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, you'd never be able to tell that you're, you know, recording in your own studio as far as rehearsal space, because yeah, it's very sounds phenomenal.
yeah. I think yeah, the last album though, that was recorded different places. A lot of the guitars parts and bass parts and vocal parts, that was done here in my own home studio,
Okay.
and but the drums were actually recorded in Sundsvall,
Yeah.
Nevo Studios,
Okay.
Yes.
on the last album. But the new album is just done by us,
Awesome. That's
and I've
awesome.
I've done the mixing process and yeah, everything
Yeah.
for this one.
That's interesting. I've always been interested in the whole mixing process and um, how to put everything together. There's another. I think he's from Sweden. I think he's Sweden. Who's the artist that he does the covers for all the Britney Spears songs and the pop songs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Max
frog
Martin.
leap. No. Is it Frog Leap
Yes,
Studios, the
yes,
guy that
yes.
does the covers? Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I think he's
Oh,
Norwegian,
he's
actually.
Norwegian. Okay, okay.
Yeah, but it's close enough.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he does everything by himself. That's super
Yeah,
awesome.
I actually met him this last uh ShipRocked. He was
Yeah,
on. I ran into him on the beach somewhere and talked to him for a few minutes. But yeah, he's pretty talented guy. Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but
Super
speaking of
cool.
Norway, so now we're talking Norway and Sweden. So I'm a big genealogy nerd. I've
Yeah,
been doing genealogy stuff for about 20 years, and this is back. Well, actually, we can go back before like Ancestry.com, and I have a couple cousins that do it, and they've been, doing the hard work, going into records and finding stuff. And so, for example, I have a copy of a newspaper article on my grandfather's brother. He was killed in a vehicle accident in Chicago in 1925, and I've got that. I mean, so it just kind of got the
that's
yeah, I
super
got the
cool.
bug, and so we knew certain things, like we knew my great grandfather was born in Ireland, and he came
Oh
over to
yeah.
the States. My great grandmother was born in Scotland.
Here we go.
I'm
Oh,
back. I'm
And
back.
yeah,
here you are, Ragnar.
you are.
Welcome
Welcome
back.
Yeah.
back.
Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Good.
So you
Yeah. I
left
don't
us
know.
in Ireland.
I got a little cut off the interwebs, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I was saying my great grandfather was born in Ireland,
Yeah.
and came to the U.S. And my great grandmother was born in Scotland,
Okay.
and they met in the U.S.
Yeah.
They both came over as young adults, I believe. So growing up, we always were told we were Scottish and Irish,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
now my great grandfather eventually made their way to Chicago through Pennsylvania, and they started out as coal miners, and my great grandmother's parents were coal miners in Scotland,
Yeah.
so they came to the States do coal mining in Pennsylvania, and then eventually my great grandfather worked in the Chicago stockyards for a while up in Chicago. So kind of an infamous place for, immigrants to work.
Yeah.
So, it's like I'd give anything to, spend a couple weeks with my great grandfather just to kind of understand our family history and all that.
Yeah.
But saying that, we
Interesting.
went a long time. We went a long time, really only knowing that. And
Yeah.
then Ancestry comes out, and my one cousin says, "Hey, we all need to do our DNA, check it out, and see, what it comes out." And so I do the DNA, and I wasn't surprised that Scotland was the highest percentage.
No.
Um, but I was surprised that Irish was kind of not real high. It was a little lower. So I was kind of like, well, that's kind of odd. But one of the highest ones was Sweden and Norway.
Ah, there you go, man.
So so I was like, I don't understand, how does that connection come in? And so anyway, a few years later, we finally found an earl in Ireland. His name's James Butler, and he had a good chunk of Ireland that he was he ruled over. He was also the Lord Deputy of Ireland. So basically, he was Ireland's representative to the King of England.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once I got back to him, it was pretty easy to follow the chain because obviously he was given that title, authority, and land based on his birthright.
Yeah.
So he was related to somebody important. And as I start to go back, I can actually go back to William the Conqueror. And William the Conqueror's great grandfather was Rollo, the Viking
Yeah.
that sacked Paris in the 900s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he all eventually, after the King of France got tired of getting attacked, he gave him, uh, Normandy, the land that eventually became Normandy,
Yeah.
and he became the first Duke of Normandy. So I have some Viking heritage when we go back, and that's kind of how I got the Ragnar
Yeah. Yeah.
nickname
Yeah.
too. It kind of came out right around the same time that show Vikings was coming
Yeah.
out,
Great show, by the way.
and yeah, I love it. I love it. So I like that it's kind of historically accurate
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the most part. It's because I'm always Googling stuff as it's happening to see if it's hey. Of course, I know
That
Ragnar is
happened.
more of a fictional
Yeah.
guy, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
The
yeah,
timeline seems pretty accurate.
Yeah. The time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I've done.
So
Yeah, I've done some sort of ancestry stuff myself, and looked into my via my heritage, done the DNA testing and stuff. That's kind of cool, though. It
yeah,
is
yeah.
fun to see.
Yeah, I actually have, bought into the Europe, the worldwide, I guess, and I've been communicating with the guy that lives on the northwestern coast of Scotland. That's because it tells you if your DNA is, connected with other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
found some folks like way north in the Yukon of Canada, and then of course, several in Ireland and the UK, and
Yeah.
then the one in Scotland, and some folks around the US, obviously. So, and that was kind of another reason why I thought about doing the podcast. Well, a few reasons. One, I spent 25 years
Oh,
in the
that
uh,
was not.
I in the
Probably.
military, which and a lot of it in law enforcement. So I got a lot of good stories to tell, you know.
Yeah.
So I've always thought about writing a book, and but man, that's a lot of work. I don't have the
Yes.
discipline to sit and do that. So I'd rather, I could just talk about stuff. That seems to be the best way to do things.
I
But
mean, that's
hopefully, yeah, hopefully one day I'll go on the road, and I plan on maybe trying to connect with all of these family members or relatives around the world, and kind of get to know them, and maybe take the podcast, go mobile.
yeah,
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 why
Um,
not?
absolutely.
yeah, so
Why
that'd be
not?
pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that was. I mean, I got a lot of family in or related family in the U.S. as well.
right, right,
So,
yeah,
so that's
yeah,
that's
I
kind of,
imagine, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I found, I think it's my 10th great grandfather. His name was Benjamin Burr. He actually was the founder of Hartford, Connecticut.
That's
So
super
yeah,
cool.
so I found,
I mean,
yeah, I
that's
found some,
Super cool.
yeah, I found some cool stuff, and of course, I have military records dating back to the Revolutionary War,
yeah.
Yeah.
and so on and so forth and stuff. So yeah, yeah, it's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I need to do that by
Um,
myself, actually.
yeah, you should check it out.
I did it back
Xbox.
in the early 90s. I did the old-fashioned way, and I got back to the 15th or 16th century, where I found a hired killer. What do you call it? Bödel in English.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a hangman or
Hangman, yeah.
Executioner.
yeah,
Yeah,
execute.
executioner.
Yeah,
Thank you. That was the word I was
Cool.
looking for.
Yeah, cool,
That's
cool.
pretty odd, I guess.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Um,
that's something.
yeah. So I mean, so you just came out with the new album. When did that get released?
Now it's not released yet.
It's not out yet. Okay.
No. So May 5th is
Is
the
the
first
single, the
thing.
first
Yeah,
single.
First
first
single.
thing
Okay.
is
Yeah,
yeah,
and we released the teaser for it today. So it's
Oh,
a
okay.
single
Okay.
5th of May and a single 2nd of June, I guess it is.
yeah. I think so.
And
Okay.
third single in late August, and the album is to be released the 13th of September.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you still, as an artist, like think about your music in terms of an entire album, or do you think about singles
Now I think about it as a whole, the
Yeah,
as a
entire
whole?
album.
Okay.
We're
we're old
so
school.
yeah,
Sure, sure. Yeah. I'd bet a lot of artists kind of do that, kind of have the whole
yeah.
album as
I
a
think
theme.
especially in rock music, hard rock, you can
Yeah,
see that kind of thought process. You see the
right,
album as a whole, as a
right, right.
complete part.
It's not a future plan to be thinking about one hit wonders and stuff. You wanna it's a whole idea, even though it's not concept album you release. You sort of think of it as a whole part of what you
Yeah,
do,
Right.
where you can
Yeah.
show yourself from one side and another side of the same album. I mean, there on this upcoming album there are 12 songs, and none of them is pretty much like another one.
at
So
least to us. I mean,
what?
for us, they sound different, and we can see
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
part. And
Yeah.
and I,
Yeah.
I totally get it that people sometimes say, "Yeah, you released a new album. 10 of the songs sounds exactly the same." I get
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. That's
but it
yeah.
for
I mean,
for me it doesn't sound that.
yeah, a lot of it's, based on whether or not what the listener listens to too.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'll take my wife to a concert. Went to see Black Label Society, and
Yeah.
uh, she said it was just one long song, the whole the whole con the whole show
Don't
was
say that
one
to
one long
suck
song.
though. Don't say that
Yeah,
to. Don't tell
and
suck.
and well, and honestly, that's somewhat of a compliment because it flows. The show and his
yeah,
shows do flow, start to finish. He doesn't mess around, giving speeches and talking about stuff. I mean, he basically pauses like once to introduce the band, and then he keeps on going. So it's just like shredding the whole time. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I really I like their shows, but. Yeah, speaking of that, what kind of bands, influenced you guys? What do you think your influence comes from?
I mean, early on,
We have always said that we have one red line through the band, and it's Black Sabbath.
yeah, it's always
Okay,
been
all
like
right,
Black Sabbath, and but
okay,
I mean, early on, uh, the songs that we started to write that started to sound like Corroded songs were like a mix of bands like Soundgarden. Uh, you got Machine Head. You got some, yeah, Black Sabbath, of course, and then you have like, for me, it's always been a lot of AC/DC stuff. Uh,
okay,
a huge AC/DC fan. Grew up with the Beatles, ELO, bands like that. So that's
Yeah.
been a
yeah,
part
yeah,
as well. Like
yeah,
especially in the melody stuff. You
right,
can
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm a
So
big ELO fan. I grew up with those guys and
yeah,
Black Sabbath, and yeah, I mean, Black Sabbath's my go-to. The album Black Sabbath's my go-to when I want to chill out. Just want
yeah,
to
Yeah.
super
put the
super good album.
headphones out and just turn it up real loud. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's been. I mean, that was like from the get go, and then you got a lot of different bands that influenced us over the years. Bands like for me, it's a lot of harder bands, more like thrash metal stuff, and Per, you sort of bring into the mix the more heavy doomy stuff on the drums. So it's sort of, yeah, it becomes Corroded
yeah,
when you do it
yeah.
like that.
Have you guys ever thought about, or I know it's not like hey, I want to do it, but you got to get the contract. But I know ShipRocked is kind of how we kind of know each other. Has
Yeah.
there ever been some talk about you guys getting on the boat?
Yeah. Since I participated 2017, I think Mike the Swede, Michael Möbius,
Right.
is
Yep.
trying to get us on board.
Okay.
And I think that, and I told the guys when I got back home from that cruise there that if we get the chance to play this boat, we need to do it.
Right.
We
Yeah,
we
Yeah.
really we would love to.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I think you would you'd destroy everybody on there.
I just it looks like a super nice cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
I had the time of my life.
Yeah, they bring
Yes.
a lot of good music on there, and I think there's probably a lot of folks that might not know you guys, so I think
Yeah,
it would be a big surprise. I think people would be like, "Holy cow, who are these guys?" I mean,
yeah.
um, get
I
you
mean
some exposure
that's
for sure.
most of the time for us abroad, except for parts of Europe right now.
Right?
It's always like, yeah, where the fuck did you guys come from? Why haven't
Yeah.
we heard you before?
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
I
good.
agree. First time I heard you guys, I was like, how have I never heard of these guys before?
Yeah,
Because it's just such a, I mean, you guys are on par with any other band that I listen to.
that's good.
So it's like, yeah, it's just and that's where the question comes up about, touring the States. And I know there's a lot of logistics that goes in that, and
I mean,
equipment
as
wise
soon
and
as
things
we
like
get the
that.
opportunity, we would like, yeah, jump on a
Yeah,
plane and come over, of
absolutely.
course.
No
Yeah, yeah.
question about it.
Yeah.
So I think
This is,
if you guys come over to tour the States, I think maybe I could tour with you as your official media or something.
Absolutely. I
I'll,
mean, that would be awesome.
do all your interviews and stuff like that.
Perfect.
yeah, we surely could use that.
Yeah. Now, but I mean,
Right.
of course, the States has always been like a big dream for us. I mean, most of the Swedish bands have like grown up looking up to bands like yeah, whatever, and then as soon as they tour in the States, they sort of made it.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
guys,
I mean, like Avatar kind of blew up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
And
those
they
guys
made
much
a
were,
much
couple.
thanks to ShipRocked, I guess.
Right. Yeah, they did ShipRock, and then they made a couple of festival appearances here in the States. And
Yeah,
they're early bands, but yeah, they kind of blew up.
yeah,
And I know
good guys.
they played a couple small venues. I've seen them at a small venue here in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
yeah.
So they've been traveling around. So yeah, yeah, it'd be awesome to see you guys over
I
here,
mean,
maybe.
it's yeah,
we would really love to tour the States
yeah, yeah,
and play ShipRocked, of course.
Right, right. Now, one thing, have you guys ever one of my favorite movies? I'll tell you, I know it's a comedy, it's kind of a spoof, but it's the the Saga of Fire and Ice. I think it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
the Eurovision, right?
Will Ferrell.
Um, I didn't know
Will
that was a
Ferrell.
real thing. Yeah, Will Ferrell. I didn't know that was a real thing. I thought it was made up, and my wife looked it up and says, "No, it's a real contest." Now, is that
It
something that's
is.
big? It's big for you guys around there, or is it?
It's
Maybe
it's
not
hard.
for me and Jens, but
Nope.
it's a
Uh,
traditional thing. It's a huge thing here in Sweden with this. In Sweden, it's called Schlagerfestivalen, and the
Okay,
it's
Eurovision contest is for the
and it
whole Europe thing.
yeah,
right, right.
it's kind of
So
massive.
Yeah, so Sweden has their own competition, and then
Yeah,
they send a
first.
Yeah,
representative.
yeah.
Exactly.
I
I
haven't
mean,
seen it since '90s, late '90s.
Yeah, I
I
know
mean,
in the movie they talked about ABBA,
yeah.
I guess
I
won
mean,
it
ABBA,
maybe at some
yeah,
point. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
They sort of won with a song called Waterloo back in
Right,
way
right,
back
right,
78
Or
right, 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 right.
74. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And then they
sort
became
of,
real big after that.
yeah, yeah,
oh
kind
yeah,
of. But
Of course, that
it's
was
not
the era for their music. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's not something that we would ever participate in, though. It's sort
yeah.
of it's we've got the question though. We have been
yeah.
asked.
I was asked,
Yeah,
and
Okay,
before I even spoke to the other guys in the band, I said no.
okay. Is it more like for
exactly.
pop type music?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, nowadays it's kind of a broader musical spectrum, but
yeah.
yeah, nah, it's not for us
Okay,
at
yeah.
all.
I, I
But it's
that's had.
I mean, the Fire and Ice saga. It's a couple of really good songs in that.
Oh yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, yeah. It's one of our favorite movies. I told my wife I was going to ask you guys about it. So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great movie. I laughed my ass off.
Uh,
oh yeah. What's that song? Yeah, yeah, ding dong.
yeah, I only want to hear Ya Ya Ding Dong.
Yeah. It's I thought maybe that was a real song, but I guess not.
None of
They
the
made it
songs.
up for the movie. They made it up for the
Yeah,
movie. There
none of
is a
the
Probably.
songs.
band. You got me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
we got you.
yeah,
We got you.
Yeah, I don't know this internet over here. I
yeah,
think somebody's trying to infiltrate my podcast or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's sort of
I don't, not sure who it is, but
you
um,
will find out, man.
That's right. I must seek them out
Yeah.
and find them. Trying to disrupt my podcast here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no good.
Um, hey, but yeah, like we were saying, I I'm totally excited for the new album. I'll tell you that. I can't wait to catch the new single and get the whole album. I'm sure I just add it to uh my permanent playlist. Usually it's Corroded I listen to on airplanes. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
why. I
yeah.
So like I
Why
put the
not?
headphones on and I turn it like up, as high as I can, and I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, I just, so
Just listen to it.
it's probably coming out of my earphones, my headphones just blasting. So it's usually
It's
turned all the
sewn
way
up.
up, but
Yeah.
Great. Sounds great.
yeah, yeah. Hey, so just last question I want to ask you about was like, well, before I get to that one, I was going to ask you about the song "Fall of a Nation" and kind of, what are you kind of talking about? Is it
I think
specific to anything or
that was more like everything that I saw at the time, everywhere, was like we still we won't learn anything. We keep on doing the same shit over and over again, and that sort of causes fall of a nation. Uh,
right?
you can see that
Yeah.
everywhere. And it's sort of the first. You can see it in the old Roman culture, and you can see it everywhere.
Mhm. Right,
When
right,
we stop to sort of try to understand what is happening and still just keep on doing the same shit over and over again, it sort of causes whole nations to fall.
right.
So that
Yeah.
that was, yeah, it was like a social commentary or of some sort
Yeah, I,
in
I
a
kind
way.
of get that from the
Yeah,
song. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
It's not
Matt,
like
one of
trying
my
to fight.
friends, I played it for one of my friends and I said, "Hey, listen to this song." And they're like, "Hey, and she was asking me about the were they talking about the US? And I go, "Yeah, probably." At least
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean the
partially.
U.S. as well. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like uh, it's not like anyone is doing anything different. Uh,
Right.
and but I think when I wrote the song, it was mostly about a lot of shit happening in Swedish politics as well, and you can
Okay.
see
Yeah.
sort of people trying to, yeah, trying to get other people mad, and it's just fucking weird. As a
Yeah.
politician, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to be the bigger man.
Yeah.
Uh, at
Right.
least for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
way I see it. It's like, yeah, yeah, it's weird. You're not supposed to be that one. It's the same any sort of if you're a police officer or some sort of, you're supposed to be a role model.
Right.
Authority. You need to be a
Yeah,
role
Sure.
model. Yeah.
someone
Yeah.
to look up to, not someone to uh, like trying to make it worse.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a lot
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
going on.
A lot of self-serving
Yeah,
and
yeah,
things like that. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm. Yeah.
So
It's
that's
no different. Yeah. Over here
yeah, yeah. It's the
in the
same
States.
everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like uh, yeah, and there's no like no one is trying to make it better. Everyone just
Right.
tries to, yeah, be self-serving, trying
Right.
to get one up on everyone else. So it's yeah, it's kind of sickening in many
Yeah.
ways.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. There's kind of a back and forth from some folks that they say, "Hey, musicians or actors or things, don't give me your opinions on
Yeah,
things.
I know that.
Just entertain me. But
Yeah,
I mean, how do you not, um, you know, write about culture, and the things that are going on in the world? And obviously you're going to put your opinion, into that,
yeah,
how
of
you
course.
view it. So, yeah.
And then you
So I don't,
can be more or less vocal about it, of course. I mean,
right,
you can look at "Fall of a Nation" as a song, just as a song as well. You can
right.
you can
Yeah,
you can
sure.
choose not to read the lyrics or read anything into it, and you can see it
Right.
just like
Yeah, there's
another.
a lot of people that do that. We laugh about the folks that, sing the wrong lyrics and been singing it, AC/DC, Done Dirt Cheap. I don't know if you
Yeah,
ever heard some people will sing, um I forget the lyric now. It's and or it says, and done dirt cheap, and people are saying, and the Thunder Chief.
Yeah.
They're
I got my first real sex dream.
yeah.
Summer
I,
'69,
I
Brian Adams.
I
yeah,
got my
yeah, yeah,
first.
yeah, yeah,
Final
yeah. Right,
countdown.
right, 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 right.
Final countdown Europe. It's a fire downtown. I mean,
It's
come on.
fire downtown. Yeah,
Yeah,
you got a lot of slow
yeah,
motion.
yeah,
You got
Slow
yeah,
motion Walter.
yeah. I,
slow
I
motion
laugh
walk.
about that. And the reason the Thunder Chief one comes to mind because that was one of my ex-wives. Now I don't call them by name. I call them number one and number two. Now I'm
Yeah.
married to number three, so of course she gets her name. But so number
Yeah, yeah.
one, number two. So number two, one day we were sitting there and it was playing, and she actually sang "And the Thunder Chief," and I was like, "What did you
What?
say?"
What? Come
and
again?
and there's actually, you go on, like, I think you go just Google it, and there'll be like mocks, videos that come up that have
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I guess it's pretty common, but
Yeah, I
I had
think
never heard.
there's a
I,
comedian by the name of Peter Kay, I think his name is, and a British comedian. He's doing like this uh, lyrics bit about misheard lyrics.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He has a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Ah,
There's a lot
I'll
of
have to check
fun.
them out.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
amazing.
Peter
Yeah,
Kay.
Peter
Yeah.
K. All right.
I
I'll have
mean,
to,
I was laughing my ass off.
yeah, I'll have to check them out. I'll have to check them
I
out.
Yeah,
got
you
the
need to.
chicken here for bird seed, not mercy. Bird seed.
Bird seed. Oh my
I
God.
wash your back. I wash your back. I wash your back for good. Backstreet Boys. Wash your back.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. So
Yeah.
hey, so last question I want to ask you guys, and I gave you a little bit of a heads up, and I know it doesn't apply to one of you, but we kind of talked a little about through the podcast about myself, and I like have a thirst for knowledge for my ancestors, my great grandparents. I wish I could know more. So if you had one thing, two things, whatever, that you wanted your great grandchildren to know about you, to make sure, like this, like you're talking to them right now. What would you what would you say? What would you tell them about yourself?
If you're, I would actually try to say something like, I don't know if you know the cartoon bear here in Sweden called Bamse. He has a saying in Swedish that in English would be like, if you're big and strong, you need to be kind.
Okay.
And I am, how tall am I in feet, Jens? 6 point.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. You're like too big, too
Yeah,
tall.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and I'm a pretty big guy, so
Right.
and then I sort of live after that. You need to be kind as well.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to be
I
a pretty common message that I hear a lot is, be kind, be good to people.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah,
And
I
how
think
do
we
you
need.
want to? How do you want to be remembered by
right,
the people behind you, so to say?
right. Yeah,
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 I think that sort of, if that would apply to me, I mean, that's sort of the same legacy that I would like to have left behind. That I always tried.
Yeah.
I tried to do the best that I could, and I tried to be as nice as I could. Uh, and I think that's sort of, it still applies.
sure,
It's
sure.
something that applies more these days than perhaps ever before.
Right. Yeah, yeah. No,
Uh,
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, and like you
uh,
mentioned earlier, sometimes social media and those types of things, I think a lot of people are misunderstood sometimes.
yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. I know I catch some
So
grief sometimes because of Facebook, people take
Yeah.
jokes. I'm a
yeah,
pretty sarcastic guy, so I use sarcasm a lot, and sometimes,
Yeah.
it's hard to read that. So, but
yeah.
no, yeah,
It's. I mean, that's a big problem in social media nowadays. It's hard to understand sarcasm,
right,
irony.
right.
Uh, so it's the same for me. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
Sarcasm, irony. That's sort of my sense of humor many
sure.
times, and it.
Mine too. Mine too.
And I
God
think,
forbid if you forget the smiley or the emoji
Oh,
after the
right,
yeah, yeah.
ironic or sarcastic meaning. God forbid you forget that one.
right.
So
Yeah,
I think that's sort of, yeah. I mean, that would be the legacy that I would leave. It's like, yeah, I tried, and he was a nice guy, and he was hung like a horse. That would be,
that's gonna go on your
Oh, thank you.
gravestone.
yeah. He wasn't that
We
good in bed, but he was
we
hung like a horse.
we had to dig the grave a little deeper.
In the
Ma-
mid parts.
You got the rigor mortis. You couldn't get the casket to close. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
Here
a
we
good one.
are.
All
yeah.
right,
We
guys.
made
Well,
that.
yeah, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got to go out there and do good things and get stuff ready for the album release and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. That's awesome.
It was super nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah. Same
Uh,
back, Ragnar.
in
Same back.
just if you want to speak to us again, just yeah,
Yeah,
contact us.
I'll be in touch. Maybe we'll talk again after the album comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be
and
super
sometimes
nice.
in the future, perhaps in person as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hope to see you guys at some point. You never know, I might show up over there in Sweden someday because
Yeah, let
Yeah,
us know. Let us know.
yeah, I
Of course.
definitely need I need to get over there, and especially I need to get to Scotland. So
Of
yeah, of
course.
course.
yeah, I've got some
I was about
addresses. Go ahead.
yeah. I was about to tell you that in the beginning of our speech here,
Uh,
that the Irish part and the Scottish part is the coolest parts of England.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been through Ireland. Is back before I knew anything as far as my
Yeah.
family history goes. So I'd like to go back because I have some addresses now, like churches that folks were married in,
That's
and I've
cool.
got address for my great grandmother in Scotland. So it'd be kind of
Yeah,
cool to pull up there and see if it still exists. And I
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
and I could probably knock on a door in Scotland and not have worry about somebody shooting me, right? Not
No, no,
Exactly.
no.
not like in the
That's
States
right.
here. Not like in the States.
Yeah,
No.
You don't
The only
have
thing you should be worrying about is they will give you a beer or something.
yeah.
yeah. Feed you.
They will feed you and get you drunk as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm hoping
probably.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
course.
All right, guys. I appreciate it, and we'll sign out, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same back,
All
Ragnar.
right. Yep.
Nice to talk to you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.